Unveiling the sacred strength within, how hidden trials shape your spiritual awakening. I never expected a single dream to change everything. It came like a bolt of lightning, striking me awake in the dead of night. A swirling mist surrounded me, echoing whispers that felt like secrets of the universe. I gasped, clutching my chest. My heart raced, pounding against my ribs like a battering ram desperate to escape. What did it mean? Why had this vision chosen me? Dread danced in my gut, chilling me to the bone. I was standing at the edge of something unfathomable, with uncertainty hanging over me like mist. I gazed out my window, blinded by the soft glow of the moon. The world felt alive, buzzing with energy. I breathed deeply, trying to calm my racing thoughts. Nature was alive with its own magic. Leaves rustled, the wind hummed. Was it speaking? I closed my eyes, diving into meditation. Mystical symbols flashed before me as I sought answers. Why was I chosen for this trial? I felt lost, a tiny speck in the vast cosmos. A strange warmth enveloped me, and suddenly, I heard a distant voice, echoing like a haunting melody. Seek the truth within. But who could I trust? Life had been a whirlwind of challenges, each one tearing at the seams of my sanity. Silence clawed at the corners of my mind, leaving me in a vacuum of doubt. I felt the weight of the world crushing me, each unanswered question a stone in my heart. Then, flickering through the darkness, sparks of clarity danced teasingly. The air around me shimmered, and my breath hitched. I could sense changes looming, but what would they bring? Were they guides or harbingers of chaos? My pulse quickened. It wasn't just a dream, it was a call to action, a buried truth begging to rise. A feather floated past, its graceful descent capturing my attention, a gentle reminder that beauty often hides in the mundane. That I strained my ears, listening for the next clue in this puzzle, every creak in the house echoing like an omen. My hands trembled, an electric thrill coursing through my veins. What would happen if I stepped into the unknown? I felt a tidal wave of fear and excitement. Was I brave enough to embrace this journey into my hidden depths? With a lingering sense of wonder, I took a deep breath, ready to explore the mysteries of my soul. But what awaited me in the shadows? Would I uncover strength or find despair? The questions loomed large, echoing in the stillness as a single thought lingered on my lips, begging for release. Who am I really? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The first rays of dawn broke through my window, spilling golden light that illuminated my chaotic thoughts. However, the warmth of the sun was bittersweet. It brought comfort, yet I couldn't shake the haunting remnants of my dream. As I rose, I felt an invisible weight tethering me to the ground, each step weighted with possibilities and fears. Determined to piece together the scattered fragments of last night's vision, I found myself drawn outdoors. The early morning air was crisp, tinged with the scent of dew-soaked grass. I stepped out into the world, taking in the vivid colors of my surroundings. Nature felt like a canvas, each detail sharpened to perfection. The sky unfolded as if it bore witness to my awakening, shades of orange and pink swirling like my thoughts, confused yet beautiful. That I walked along the familiar path, listening closely to the rhythmic chorus of birds singing overhead. Their melodies wove a tapestry of serenity, reminding me that life thrived in the simplest of moments. Suddenly, a flutter caught my eye, a cardinal perched on a branch, vibrant against the drab gray of the morning. Its presence sparked something deep within me. I paused, considering the significance. Was it a messenger? A symbol of hope as I braced for an inner expedition? Seek the truth within, the echoing voice from my dream whispered again in my mind. I closed my eyes, letting the soft breeze dance around me, wrapping me in an embrace both comforting and unsettling. What truth awaited beneath the layers of hurt and uncertainty? What did it mean to truly seek? As I continued my walk, I noticed the slightest shift in the atmosphere, as if the universe itself held its breath. Wisps of fog twisted between the trees, blurring the line between what was real and what lay beyond perception. My heart raced, beating in sync with the sound of rustling leaves, a rhythm almost ethereal. Each step drew me deeper into the heart of the forest, beckoning me to unravel the mysteries they entwined. That I stumbled upon a clearing where an ancient tree stood alone, its massive trunk twisting toward the heavens, gnarled and breathtaking. The sight stirred something profound within me, a recognition of my own rootlessness. I approached it, placing my hand against the rough bark, and a rush of energy surged through me. Visions flashed, memories of laughter, tears, and moments of vulnerability, all woven together in a tapestry that reflected the many facets of my being. As I closed my eyes, buried emotions surfaced: love, doubt, joy, and sorrow roared like a tempest. In that moment, I understood. This journey was not about escaping those feelings but embracing them. I allowed myself to be vulnerable, filling the space around me with my breaths and offering to the unseen forces guiding me. Then, startling clarity emerged from the chaos. I saw fragments of my past painful trials that had refined me, yet I understood I had not allowed myself to fully acknowledge their weight. They had become my shackles and my power, blending seamlessly in the fabric of my identity. But who was I beyond these shadows? Who was I if I stripped away the layers of pain to reveal the core of my spirit? As the sun climbed higher, casting dappled shadows across the clearing, a hawk swooped between the branches, gliding effortlessly as if to remind me of the expansive potential above and beyond. Like the hawk, I felt a yearning for elevation, a desire to rise above my fears and discover my sacred strength. But the journey ahead seemed nebulous. What hills needed to be scaled? What storms awaited? I sank to my knees, touched the earth beneath me, and surrendered to the uncertainty, feeling a deep connection with all that surrounded me. The ground whispered old wisdom, urging me to listen closely and reflect deeply. There was liberation in the unknown, shadows revealing light, and light deepening the shadows in an endless cycle of transformation. As day surrendered to dusk, and I made my way home, questions lingered in my heart. What insights awaited me in the silence of my reflections? What part of my soul still needed awakening? I returned not with answers but with a renewed sense of wonder. As I lay down that night, the soft whispers of the universe rang clear in my ears once more. Who will I become when I fully embrace my trials? Who am I when I stand in my full embrace of the sacred journey ahead? The world seemed transformed as twilight fell, casting a gentle shadow over my path. Each step home felt like a pilgrimage back to the sanctuary of my thoughts. The day's revelations lingered, swirling in my mind like leaves caught in a playful autumn breeze. I was left to wonder, how deeply could I delve into this journey of understanding? Was there more to discover, a greater truth waiting just beyond my grasp? That night, I drifted off to sleep beneath the soothing symphony of night sounds, the melodic calls of crickets and owls weaving a lullaby for my restless spirit. As dreams encapsulated me in their embrace once more, I found myself standing at the edge of a vast ocean. The waves crashed consistently against the shore, their foam rolling back, revealing secrets buried in the sand. An inexplicable pull guided me closer to the water's edge, and as I stood, the moon shimmered on the surface, illuminating a world teeming with uncharted depths. Suddenly, figures emerged from the depths, a congregation of luminescent beings. They radiated colors beyond the visible spectrum, floating like ethereal spirits among the crashing waves. They beckoned me forward, their silent voices echoing of wisdom and compassion. I waded deeper into the water, feeling its cool embrace wrap around my legs. Each step ignited a cascade of emotions, fear mingled with exhilaration, apprehension with curiosity. One of the beings approached me, its eyes sparkling with the essence of distant stars. In a voice that reverberated within me like a soft echo, it spoke, "You seek answers without knowing you already hold the key. The treasures of your past are not to shackle your future, they are to illuminate your journey." I reflected on the ancient tree from earlier that day, the weight of my past and the freedom of letting go. But how? I implored, the waves lapping around me as if the ocean itself sought to answer. You must awaken to your own significance, the being replied. To know who you are is to embrace the entirety of your existence, including the shadows that sing your story. A rush of warmth surged through me, dispelling my uncertainty. I had been so focused on understanding the significance of my past traumas that I hadn't recognized the lessons they bestowed: resilience, strength, and profound growth. As I stood on the brink of the ocean, immersed in the flowing energy of this celestial presence, I understood the dance of ebb and flow mirrored my own life, a perpetual cycle of loss and renewal, surrender and discovery. The currents wrapped around my ankles with gentle insistence, drawing me further into this exploration of self. In a moment of heightened clarity, I perceived a vision unfolding in the depths below, a glimpse of me, strong and whole, breaking through the surface of my fears like the dawn. Instinctively, I knew this realization was not just about personal trials but also the myriad ways we are interconnected with others. Each struggle bore the potential to inspire someone else, weaving a grand tapestry of shared experiences. As the ocean began to recede, I felt a pull back to the shore, the vibrant beings fading momentarily into the mist of impending dawn. With their ethereal knowledge still resonating within me, I emerged from the vision into reality, stirring awake in my own bed. The dim light of dawn filtered through my window, rebirthing the sense of possibility I had seen on the shores of the dream. I took a deep breath, grounding myself in the present. Beneath the fabric of my being lay a dormant question: what role do my experiences play not just in my life but in the lives of those around me? How could I embody my authentic self while honoring the trials that shaped this journey? Slowly, I understood that by embracing the fullness of my story, its highs and lows, I could influence others to seek their sacred strengths as well. As morning light brushed my skin, reflecting the vibrant palette of the new day, I couldn't help but wonder, what other realms of understanding awaited my exploration? What would I discover as I continued to embrace each layer of truth hidden within the shadows? The questions danced in my mind, sparking the fire of curiosity within me, an invitation to delve deeper into the uncharted territories of my spirit. In the days that followed, the shift within me felt as palpable as the crisp autumn air. The lingering reflections from my dream painted my waking hours with new colors, vibrant hues of gratitude intermingled with the shadows of past grief. Each morning, I greeted the day with a renewed sense of purpose, a yearning to uncover the threads of my existence that had woven together in ways I had never previously recognized. One afternoon, wandering through the local woods that had become my sanctuary, I intuitively followed a narrow path that forked away from the familiar trails. The allure of the unknown captivated me, igniting a flicker of excitement within my chest. As I ventured deeper, the sun's rays danced through the canopy overhead, creating patterns on the soft earth. Birds chirped above, and the gentle rustle of leaves whispered secrets only offered to those who paused to listen. It wasn't long before I stumbled upon a clearing, where the remnants of an ancient stone structure lay crumbling and overgrown with lush greenery. The stone, worn and weathered, seemed to pulse with energy, resonating with stories of lives once led within its embrace. As I stepped closer, I felt an unexplainable connection, as if the stones were guardians, holding the collective memories of joy and heartache. Kneeling down, I placed my palm against a particularly smooth stone, cool to the touch. In that moment, a vision unfurled within me. I saw silhouettes of people gathered around, laughing, crying, living, their emotions weaving an intricate tapestry engraved upon the stones. Each figure appeared familiar, the expressions echoing sentiments I had felt in my own life: love, loss, hope, despair. Tears streamed silently down my cheeks, for in this sacred space, I realized that my journey was not isolated, it was harmoniously entwined with many others. I understood now that every trial I faced, every joy I savored, reverberated through both time and space, nurturing the foundation for this collective consciousness we all inhabited. A surge of inspiration swept through me, igniting the urgency to share my story and uplift those around me. I envisioned gathering circles of healing and sharing where souls could reveal their trials, their tribulations, and ultimately, their strengths. The idea pulsed within me, and I smiled through my tears, feeling a knot of determination tethering me to this purpose. As I rose to my feet, a gust of wind danced through the clearing, swirling around me and compelling me to close my eyes. It carried an invitation, a beckoning to trust the wisdom of the earth beneath me and the universe above. With each deep breath, I absorbed this call, feeling my spirit expand beyond my physical form into the contours of the surrounding forest. With newfound clarity, questions began to emerge, twirling in tandem with the leaves. If I were to initiate this gathering, what would I need to learn? What stories were waiting to be shared? And, more pressingly, how would I best facilitate a truthful exchange that honored both the heights and depths of our shared experiences? When I finally opened my eyes, the sunlight was waning, casting long shadows that stretched across the clearing. I felt the warmth of the stones beneath my palm, still alive with energy, as if they acknowledged my intentions and welcomed each hidden truth yet to be revealed. As the sky began to turn shades of orange and purple, I contemplated the journey ahead. Would I have the courage to step out of my comfort zone and lead others in vulnerability? Would the path I was creating provide solace for those who sought it, or would it reveal challenges of its own? With lingering questions perched delicately atop my heart, I retraced my steps back home. The familiar trails felt more vibrant, teeming with life and wisdom. I sneaked a few glances at the intricate paths around me, each holding its own stories waiting to be uncovered. What awaited me at the intersection of my courage and uncertainty? What revelations lay buried beneath the surface of these shadows I was destined to illuminate for myself and others? The answers still danced just beyond my reach, inviting me to take the next step on this infinite journey of discovery. The following days unraveled like the gentle unspooling of a spool of thread. Each moment offered new insights, whispering to me the importance of patience in the journey of self-discovery. Awakening each day, I felt as though I had become a vessel ready to encompass the wisdom the world had to offer. My dreams were no longer solitary, they became invitations into the intricacies of the lives that had touched mine, whether directly or through the stories interwoven within the fabric of my existence. As I moved through my routine, I began to notice reminders of the sacred strength I was cultivating. A stray feather dropped at my feet, carrying with it a sense of freedom. A dappled sunlight radiated through my window, casting playful shadows that spoke to the light and dark in all that I was learning. I ventured beyond the woods, seeking the pulse of the community around me. I found myself lingering in coffee shops, bookstores, and local markets, where laughter mingled with conversations murmuring tales of both struggle and resilience. One evening, I entered a small, rustic bookstore, its shelves lined with tomes that seemed to sigh with secrets. My heart quickened as I fumbled through perspective-shifting pages. It was here I encountered a fragile-looking woman seated in a secluded corner, a presence that radiated wisdom as palpable as the aroma of brewing coffee. She wore a shawl with intricate patterns, and her eyes sparkled with the kind of understanding that felt familiar. With a gentle smile, she invited me to join her. I felt an invisible thread connecting us, pulling me closer. The conversation unfolded like a well-loved book. We shared snippets of our lives, unveiling vulnerabilities and shedding light on lessons learned amid darkness. She spoke of loss of her son, taken too soon, and the way it had reshaped her understanding of love, of life itself. Every word she uttered resonated deeply, igniting echoes of my own grief while illuminating paths I had yet to explore. Each pain carries a lesson, she said, her voice steady yet tremulous. We must allow ourselves to be tender. Through that fragility, we can build a bridge to others who feel alone. Her words struck a chord that reverberated through the caverns of my heart. If the connections I sought to foster were rooted in honesty and vulnerability, then I would need to embrace my own truth fully, stripped of the masks I had previously worn. That we parted with a promise to continue our dialogue, a newfound connection that hinted at deeper explorations ahead. As I exited the bookstore, the night unfurled like a blanket, dark yet sparkling with stars, each shining pinprick above urging me to contemplate the lessons shared and yet to be learned. I allowed myself a moment to soak it all in, feeling as if I were standing at the edge of a vast ocean, with possibilities stretching out before me. In the coming days, I began drafting a potential format for the gatherings I envisioned. With each word etched on paper, I felt the heartbeat of a community waiting to be cultivated. What emerged was not merely a forum for sharing stories, but a sanctuary where souls could come together to explore the themes of loss, healing, and awakening. I imagine circle sessions framed by vulnerability and the raw beauty of shared humanity, the integration of our narratives merging into a greater tapestry, yet, amidst this blossoming vision, doubts clouded my resolve. Would these encounters transcend superficial exchanges? Could I create an environment that welcomed the full spectrum of emotions without fear of judgment? And who would these brave souls be, individuals willing to share their truths beside me, unveiling layers of their beings that perhaps even they had not yet recognized? As I sat in the comfort of my home one evening, the flickering candlelight danced, casting fleeting shadows along the walls. With a sigh, I absorbed the weight of these inquiries, realizing they were merely reflections of my own inner landscape, a continuous invitation to dive deeper. That I closed my eyes and visualized the faces of those I had yet to meet. A collage of individuals inhabited my mind, radiating stories that longed to be told. In that stillness, I saw silhouettes merging together, circling beneath an ancient tree, its roots deeply entrenched in the earth. Whispering through the leaves stood the truth I had begun to seek, that our struggles, even when fraught with pain, could be transformed into sacred strength that united us all. What would it take to draw these souls into that space of shared power? What wisdom lay still beneath the layers of my own experience, waiting to illuminate the path for not only myself but also those brave enough to gather and unveil their stories? As I blew out the candle, the lingering smoke danced momentarily before fading, an emphatic reminder that while mysteries may be elusive, they hold the potential for awakening, and every question served as an invitation to explore the depths of our interconnected journeys. The days that followed were saturated with a vibrant hue of anticipation and exploration. Each morning brought a gentle stirring within me, a feeling similar to the whisper of an old friend beckoning me toward a door I had yet to open. The sun poured warmth over the earth, kissing the flowers awake, while the birds sang their ancient songs, filling the air with melodies of mirth and possibility. I ventured into the woods often, embracing the rhythm of nature that echoed my inner journey. One afternoon, I found myself resting against an age-old oak, an immense guardian standing witness to the passage of time. As I closed my eyes, the rough bark warmed against my back, anchoring me into the earth while my thoughts drifted like leaves caught in a gentle breeze. In that tranquil space, visions began to form, images of diverse hearts intertwined through shared struggles and resilience, each beating in harmony to a metrical pulse of connection. That I and this reverie, a sudden rustle drew my attention. I opened my eyes to see a child playing nearby, lost in the symphony of imagination. Her laughter rang out like a bell, pure and untainted, a reminder of the lightness life could offer when one knew how to embrace it. She turned to me, her gaze curious, yet wise beyond her years. "Papa says every tree has a story," she declared, her voice bright with a sense of wonder. "Do you think this tree has one?" I asked, a smile creeping onto my face. "Oh, for sure. Trees remember all the seasons, happy ones and sad ones. But the happy ones make them grow big and strong," she replied, her sincerity weaving a sense of magic into our shared moment. Her words settled within me, a gentle resonance that stirred questions of my own. What stories had I collected along my path? What seasons of joy and sorrow comprised my roots? And how could I wield these narratives to cultivate the sacred gathering I envisioned? Intrigued, I took a deep breath, filling my lungs with the fresh scent of pine and earth. Suddenly, a flutter above me caught my eye. An azure butterfly danced in the light, weaving in and out of dappled shadows, its delicate wings glimmering like stained glass in the sun. It felt like a sign, a profound reminder of transformation and rebirth. Was I, too, moving towards emergence? Could the gatherings I longed to form draw forth the colors of everyone's stories, vibrant and unique, into a living tapestry? Over the next few days, I would encounter more signs, both subtle and bold. During a conversation with the barista at my favorite cafe, I learned about a community center seeking facilitators for conversation circles. Her interest piqued my own, stirring excitement within. The universe, it seemed, was inviting me to step out of my hesitations. At the local market, an elderly man shared anecdotes while selling handmade pottery, inviting me to revisit the concept of creating connections through shared creation. As I embraced these molded experiences, the idea of my gathering began to percolate, transcending mere thoughts into something tangible. However, each insightful interaction was often tinged with the weight of uncertainty. What if I failed to inspire others? Would I have the capacity to hold space for the vulnerable stories longing to emerge? One evening, as I sat in my living room surrounded by the soft glow of lamplight, shadows began to take form. I noticed the contrast between the light and darkness in the room, a metaphor for the balance I was trying to embrace within my own journey. Light and shadow danced in unison, reminders of the complexities inherent in growth. With every keystroke on my notebook, I poured out my thoughts and fears, the pages becoming a vessel for my reflections. I felt as if I stood on the precipice of an incredible discovery. Therefore, I wrote down every fear, recognizing them not as barriers but as catalysts for deeper transformation, beneath which lay uncharted territories of courage. Eventually, I closed my eyes once more, envisioning faces gathered in a circle, holding space for each other's truths. This vision thrummed with potential. But as I looked closer, I sensed an intangible weight. What if, in our shared humanity, we uncovered not only our light but also the shadows that loomed just beneath the surface? The questions reverberated within, amplified by the flickering candle casting shadows on the walls. What revelations awaited those who dared to excavate the buried stories hiding in their hearts? What sacred strength was waiting to be unveiled, the kind forged through shared healing amidst layers of honesty and authenticity? As the candle flickered and finally extinguished its flame, I understood that my journey had no concrete end, that each question was but a seed planted within the fertile soil of exploration, destined to sprout and grow into something profound. What were the hidden trials yet to shape my awakening? And how might the gathering of souls reveal the intricate threads connecting us all in the grand tapestry of existence? I would continue to seek, with curiosity and an open heart, as new adventures awaited on the horizon. The days flowed on like a gentle stream, clear and unhurried, nurturing an ever-deepening awareness within me. Each sunrise painted the sky in ephemeral colors, and with it came a flutter of hope woven tightly to the fabric of my contemplations. I ventured into the woods again, each visit becoming a pilgrimage into the wisdom of nature. The air was alive with whispers of mystery, inviting me to step deeper into the heart of the forest, where the world felt wider and my spirit lighter. One evening, as dusk cloaked the landscape in velvet shadows, I followed a narrow path that curved around a silvery pond, its surface mirroring the twilight sky. As I sat by the water's edge, I noticed how still and reflective it was, like a giant mirror capturing not only the beauty around it but also the depths beneath. The water, I realized, had a story of its own, an unspoken testament to the ephemeral and eternal aspects of existence. That in stillness, I dipped my fingers into the pond, sending ripples of movement cascading outward. Each circle reminded me of the connections we forge and the impact we have on one another, a chain reaction of energy and emotion. In that moment, the weight of my previous uncertainties began to dissipate, replaced with a newfound clarity. Perhaps it was time to summon the courage to dive deeper, not only into my own narrative but into the narratives of others. As twilight surrendered to the vastness of night, the silver light of the moon shimmered through the branches above. It was then I felt a presence at my side, gentle yet profound. I turned to find a woman standing there, her aura luminous in the dimness. Her long hair wove with the shadows, and her eyes sparkled with an understanding that transcended words. Do you see how the moon reflects on the water? She asked, a soft smile gracing her lips. It shows us that the light we have to give may be hidden at times but is always there, waiting to dance into existence. Just like the stories we carry within, her words resonated with the essence of my journey, illuminating the path I had yet to walk. I nodded, my heart swelling with an understanding that the very act of revealing oneself was a light unto itself. Just as the moon stood watch over the darkened world, so too could I hold space for others' truths, drawing forth their hidden light and creating an alchemy of shared experience. Have you felt the pull of stories yet untold? The woman continued, her gaze probing the depths of my thoughts. Look around, the forest breathes with them. Every rustling leaf has witnessed laughter, sorrow, love, and loss. And all of it longs to be shared. Your gathering is a sacred act, one most necessary in these times. The vulnerability in her voice invited me into a deeper reflection. I began to see my gathering not merely as an event, but as a sacred circle, a space where hearts could unfurl and souls could be bound by threads woven of empathy. But would I have the strength to hold such a space? What if shadows came forth that I could not bear to witness? Strength, she said, as if unraveling the thoughts that coiled in my mind, is not the absence of fear but the embrace of it. Just as the roots of a tree spread below the surface, unseen yet crucial, so too do our fears fortify us. They connect us to one another, offering courage forged in vulnerability. In that moment, the forest around us seemed to echo her wisdom, the gentle rustle of leaves transformed into an embrace of solidarity. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the women's words settle into my being like seeds eager to blossom. With each subsequent day, I became more attuned to the signs that filled the world around me, synchronicities unfolding in delightful whispers. A stranger shared a heartbreaking story while waiting in line, a single affirmation that human connection had the power to heal. A friend offered encouragement as she recounted her own journey through darkness, a tale that anchored my resolve in bringing forth the gathering. Reflecting upon these interactions, I began to sit with my own hidden trials. What raw truths still danced at the edges of my consciousness? What aspects of my story required distilling, ready to spill forth in vulnerable honesty? As evenings turned into night, I often found myself returning to the pond. Under the moon's gaze, I would meditate on the questions igniting my soul. What fears must I confront within myself to serve as a beacon for others? How might I illuminate the paths for those who feel lost in their own shadows? And what riches lie in the collective sharing of our stories, waiting to be unearthed? The resonant whispers of the forest entwined with the echoes of moonlit reflections grew louder in my heart. The yearning for my gathering felt less like an obligation and more like a Kalinga sacred invitation to witness and be witnessed. Yet still, uncertainties lingered like twinkling stars waiting to be named. How might fear and courage coalesce to reveal the depth of our shared humanity? As I closed my eyes one last time before departing, I sensed the rich tapestry of life unfolding before me, each thread an integral part of a larger design. I understood now that my journey remained suspended in this delicate dance between light and shadow, question and revelation. With renewed determination, I rose, deciding to brave the unfolding, for within each trial, I might just discover the sacred strength waiting to illuminate the way for us all. The days that followed were imbued with a sense of urgency, each moment weaving a tapestry rich with potentiality. I visited the pond with newfound intent, drawn not only to its stillness but also to the wisdom it seemed to cradle beneath its surface. It called to me more than ever, as if inviting me into its depths. One afternoon, while the sun hung high, casting playful reflections across the water, I noticed something unusual. A small wooden canoe rested against the bank, half concealed by the tall reeds. It seemed out of place, yet oddly inviting. Could this be a sign, or merely a forgotten remnant of someone else's journey? My heart thudded with curiosity as I approached it, feeling an inexplicable pull toward exploration. Gingerly, I pushed the canoe into the water, its smooth bottom gliding effortlessly. With every stroke, I felt myself transitioning from the solid ground of certainty to the fluidity of potential. The pond stretched before me like a mirror, reflecting the patchwork sky. Each gentle sway of the canoe stirred thoughts, long buried questions I was only beginning to dare ask. As I rowed toward the center, the water deepened, and so did my contemplation. What truths lay beneath the surface of my own existence? What profound stories remained untold, waiting for the courageous spark of revelation to illuminate them? The quietude enveloped me, heavy with anticipation. Midway across the pond, the woman from before seemed to flicker in my thoughts, her luminous presence offering solace in this vulnerable moment. Every story is a treasure, she had said. And every treasure needs the right moment to shine. The significance of her words weighed heavily on my heart, fueling an urge to dive deeper into my own narrative. As I became attuned to the ripples around me, a sudden commotion startled me from my reverie. I turned to see a family of ducks emerging from behind the reeds, their feathers slick and glistening in the sun. The mother duck led her chicks with great purpose, quacking softly as they glided gracefully over the surface. In their synchronized movements, I found inspiration. They relied on one another, drawing strength from their unity. The imagery struck me how untold stories, like the ducklings, trudged toward the light, finding courage in numbers. Could it be that the gathering I yearned to create mirrored this very journey? Providing a space where individuals would come together to nurture their narratives, and in doing so, weave a collective strength that would resonate beyond their individual experiences. As I continued to row, the shimmering waters began to shimmer more intensely, blurring the line between the present and something other, something profound. Suddenly, a mist descended, cloaking the pond in a mystical veil. I felt an urge to close my eyes, surrender to the sensations of the moment. In that ephemeral space, visions emerged, fragments of stories that called to be shared. Faces, voices, and untold sorrows danced before me, drawing me to their weight and beauty, but just as quickly as they appeared, the images dissolved, and the calming embrace of uncertainty returned. I opened my eyes to find the mist had lifted, revealing the surrounding trees standing sentinel once more. Yet, they too felt transformed, as if they had whispered secret promises of support through our shared presence. That is this what it meant to unveil the sacred strength within? To embrace the trials, joys, and stories that connect us all. I felt an overwhelming sense of the interconnectedness of life, an invisible thread binding each of us to our narratives. As I paddled back to shore, I carried more than just the canoe. I bore the weight of the moment, the recognition that to truly guide others, I must first confront the depths of my own story. What was the fear that lingered, holding me back from fully stepping into my authenticity? What truths awaited to be voiced on the cusp of revelation? Determined to prepare for the gathering, I sat on the bank, grounding myself in the mud and moss. The face of the woman appeared in the back of my mind. Her gentle reminder echoed, "Strength is the embrace of fear." Deep within those words lay a revelation I continued to ponder. If every moment is sacred, and every story is an opportunity for profound connection, how could I allow myself to be a vessel for these experiences? As the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting warm hues across the land, I remained enveloped in reflection. That I and the shifting shades of dusk, a newfound curiosity began to unfurl. How might my own hidden trials serve not merely as burdens but as gateways to liberation for myself and others? What sacred truths awaited me as I embraced the vulnerability of revealing my own narrative? And as the answers danced at the edge of my consciousness, elusive yet magnetic, I understood that my journey into the depths was just beginning, a sacred odyssey weaving through the light and shadow of countless untold stories yearning to breathe. The following week offered a gentle sense of rhythm, as if the universe was attuning itself to my quiet determination, subtly whispering secrets through the rustling leaves and the gentle lap of water against the bank. I returned to the pond daily, each visit drawing me closer to the stories that lingered in its depths. The canoe became a vessel not merely of timber, but of my burgeoning contemplation. One afternoon, propelled by an insatiable curiosity, I set out to explore the far bank of the pond, which had remained untouched by my wanderings. As I paddled, a sudden gust of wind rippled the surface, sending small waves crashing against the canoe's sides, much like the turmoil within me that swelled with each stroke. The distant corner of the waterway came into view, framed by wildflowers, their vivid blooms nodding gently in the breeze. There, partially hidden among the foliage, I noticed an unusual formation, an ancient stone structure, half crumbled yet majestic in its stillness, beckoning like a forgotten sage. I maneuvered the canoe ashore, stepping onto the damp earth with a sense of reverence. The air grew thick, upped with anticipation, and as I approached the edifice, the weight of history enveloped me. The stones were covered in moss and seemed to hum with the stories of the many generations who had connected with this sacred space. Each engraved line and fracture within the stone intertwined nature and spirit, revealing a symbiotic dance of time. As I reached out to touch the weathered surface, a shiver ran down my spine, igniting a wave of emotions long buried. Suddenly, a fragile voice echoed in my mind, a blend of past pains and wisdom, and with it came a realization I was not the first to stand here in search of answers. The structure was a testament to resilience, a sanctuary for those seeking solace in their stories. It dawned on me that every person, every narrative, leaves traces behind, some etched indelibly in the fabric of existence. I began to sense that I was becoming part of this continuum, a vessel amid the gathering tales of humanity. Lost in thought, I sat at the base of the stones, allowing the warmth of the sun to caress my face. As I closed my eyes, the echoes morphed into visions, a collage of lives intertwined, each struggle and triumph a thread within a grand tapestry. Faces, long forgotten yet familiar, materialized, and I understood it was the shared human experience that created a bridge to the divine. In that sacred space, I began to decipher the weight of my own hidden trials. They weren't merely burdens, they were threads of gold woven into my existence, harbingers of transformation that deserved illumination. I felt the urge to love those shadows rather than shy away from them. There lay the key not just to my own freedom, but to connecting others with their stories. As I arose, the sun shifted lower, casting long shadows that danced among the trees, mirroring the play of light and dark within me. That day, I gathered handfuls of moss and stone, symbols of my pilgrimage, intending to integrate them into the gathering I yearned to facilitate. This embodiment of nature would serve as a reminder of both grounding and growth, a tangible representation of our shared journey. As I made my way back to the canoe, I couldn't shake the feeling that my path was converging with others, a current of soul-seeking. But even amidst this newfound understanding, doubt lingered. How could I risk revealing my own vulnerabilities among those who might still be shackled by their fears? What if my portrayal of strength faltered in the light of my own stories? With these questions thrumming in my heart, I watched the reflection of the evening sky culture into shades of violet and saffron, an ethereal contrast against the deepening blues of the pond. The day's revelation settled within me, yet the image of the woman returned, the possibility of impact looming like a lighthouse in the distance, urging me forward. Could my willingness to reveal my own narrative create a ripple effect, inspiring others to embrace the untold stories residing in their hearts? As I pondered this, another curiosity emerged. What if, through sharing our tales of struggle, we inadvertently illuminated paths toward healing and understanding within ourselves and others? The connection was undeniable yet fraught with uncertainty. The depths were still unexplored. As the first stars began to sprinkle the twilight sky, I recognized that I was like the stones at the riverbank, each layer needing patience and grace to reveal all that I could be. While the journey ahead felt daunting, the whispers of camaraderie echoed joyously in my thoughts. Perhaps in this labor of love, I could encourage others to unveil their own sacred strength, forever entangled in the beautiful mess of human experience. And so, I stepped into the unknown, heart racing with anticipation. For within each question lies the promise of understanding and connection, a continued path toward the unveiling of sacred truths waiting to breathe anew. What would the gathering reveal about the myriad layers of our shared existence? What new stories, once hidden, would come to light under the grace of vulnerability? The answers, elusive and tantalizing, became the stars guiding me home. As I sit here, reflecting on the journey that has unfolded over the past weeks, I can hardly believe how far I have come, or perhaps how far I have merely begun to travel. Each moment has stitched together a tapestry of revelations, each thread woven with intention and purpose. Today, I stand at the precipice of a new understanding, a deep knowing that resonates within my soul and ripples out into the world. The gathering I envisioned, the sacred circle of souls sharing their stories, is no longer just a distant dream. It is a pulse that beats in tandem with my heart, urging me to invite others into this pulsating rhythm of vulnerability and connection. I take a deep breath, grounding myself in the present as the first light of dawn filters through my window, illuminating the remnants of yesterday's whispers with a golden glow. In the quiet stillness, I remember the faces that have colored my journey so far, the woman who spoke of strength in embracing fear, the child whose wisdom reminded me of the importance of joy, the ducks who illustrated unity amidst their journey. Every interaction has been a beacon, guiding me toward the understanding that our stories, fragile, tangled, and beautiful, have the power to transform not only ourselves but also the world around us. As I prepare for the gathering, I think back to the ancient stone structure by the pond and the stories it harbored. I realize now that stories are living entities, breathing and stretching through time, allowing us to connect with the past while pressing forward into the future. They are reminders that we are not alone in our struggles and that our hidden trials are, indeed, sacred strengths, the very essence of who we are. The path towards unveiling these truths is a winding one, dotted with fears and shadows that I can no longer shy away from. I understand that it is my responsibility to step onto this stage of authenticity, to reveal my own frailties alongside my strengths, and to create a safe haven for others to do the same. Each shared story is a brick laid in the foundation of our community, every moment of vulnerability paving the way for growth and healing. With each day that passes, I feel the energy of anticipation building, swelling within me like a wave ready to crash upon the shore. The stories of those who will join me in this sacred space are unknown, yet I sense their presence drawing closer, beckoning me to trust in the ebb and flow of our interconnectedness. We are all chapters in an unwritten book, our narratives converging into a greater tale that encompasses both light and shadow. Today, I prepare not just for the gathering but for the depth of connection that awaits, an unveiling of sacred truths where we can hold each other, witness one another, and emerge from our silenced corners into the light of shared understanding. This is what it means to be truly alive, to embrace the full spectrum of existence and to honor the stories that make us who we are. As dusk approaches and the world falls into a soft embrace, I sit in humble anticipation, feeling the presence of all those who have traversed my path. It is here, in this cocoon of warmth, that I hear the very essence of life whispering, "You are more than your trials, you are the light that emerges from them." With that truth echoing within me, I step into the unknown, ready to welcome the sacred stories waiting to be shared. I let go of the fear that has held me captive for far too long and step into a profound awakening, one that brings a sense of peace and belonging to my spirit. That in this moment, I understand and embrace a powerful revelation: every story told in the light gives birth to hope, healing, and connection. We are not isolated beings in a chaotic world, instead, we are intertwined threads, woven into the fabric of existence, creating beauty through our shared experiences. And perhaps, just perhaps, it is in the unearthing of these sacred trials that we rise together, discovering the sacred strength that lives within us all. That I exhale deeply, surrendering to the rhythm of life, to the unfolding path ahead. The gathering awaits, and with it a chance to discover the uncharted territories of our interconnected souls. As I prepare to embark on this transformational journey, I smile softly, knowing that cocooned within our narratives lies the profound truth that, to share a story is to share a piece of our souls, the sacred strength that binds us all.